Well, I think what you see is exactly this contradiction. You have a number of different leaders talking about global issues around climate change. Evo Morales, Rafael Correa, and others, Zelaya, when he was running Honduras. But you also see the pressure of desperately poor regions needing to attract capital, needing to develop in order to lessen poverty and lessen inequality. And what you see on the table is another proposals demanding public funding in order to keep the oil in the ground, in order to not chop down the rainforest, in order to try to mitigate some of the intense pressures of development, of economic integration that a lot of these left leaders find themselves trapped in.
Sujatha, obviously Venezuela, a special case, big oil-producing nation.
And one of the difference in Venezuela historically, it's always been said that the oil is the way that we're going to develop and progress, and it's by exploiting this oil that we're going to resolve poverty, and and it's always been so closely tied that environmentalists do have a tough time, maybe a tougher time than in other places, in making the argument that that the oil should stay in the ground, that we should find alternative means of energy, that we should, and Chavez is pursuing some of these alternative policies, but at the same time, social movements are having to fight a battle to argue for resource conservation.
Roque, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I would just add to that sometimes you see in Latin America contradictions, and not just leftist leaders who feel like their industrialization is being put on hold because of this whole process of climate change, and now everything has to be rethought, but also that there's social movements in Latin America that have been fighting for, say, autonomy or to have the collective use of land in order to pursue a means of development that's not necessarily industrialist, but that would be a way, and here I'm thinking of maybe the Mapuche in Chile or of Quilombos in Brazil, that the idea is that they hold the land in common and they develop in a way that is more in tune, or that's less destructive of the environment, but doesn't produce as much wealth.
And finally, how does this look from Chile, Elyssa, a country, of course, whose history has been hugely determined by massive multinational corporate interests in that country, coming up against popular aspirations for change?
Right. Well, climate change is definitely something people are very concerned about here. You have a lot of glacier melt going on in Patagonia, in southern Chile. But what I really think we should keep an eye on is what are going to be some of the grassroots responses that people in Latin America are going to take against climate change.